graduate school in the 1940s, and that's when I first started coming to the meetings. And obviously they've changed. For one thing, they used to have them in academic institutions, not hotels. And they'd have them during the Christmas holidays when the students were gone, in one of the schools. They'd be gone for the Christmas vacation, and then they could use the dormitories as living places for the anthropologists who were coming to the anthropology meetings. And that was a very different atmosphere.
First attended in December of 1941. I was still an undergraduate, and it was a meeting in Andover, Massachusetts. And there were so many people there that we had a single session program. Everybody went to everything, and you didn't stay away because there was no place to go. And some of the papers we heard were abominable, and a few were interesting. I didn't go for the whole 3 days, but I got money from my parents to go, and the bus ride and the hotel, we stayed in Andover, whatever the hell they call that school, that private school there. And the whole 3 days we'd cut out early. We decided we didn't want to stay for the big dinner. And the whole 3 days cost me $25, just like today.
I am J. Anthony Paredes, better known as Tony. I am a professor emeritus at Florida State University. My first annual meeting of the American Anthropological Association was in Denver, Colorado in 1965. The first meeting was, I think, in a sense, sort of dazzling because I was among all these famous anthropologists. I was there because I was giving a paper, and I was giving a paper in a system that doesn't exist anymore. If you were not a fellow of the American Anthropological Association, which was a status that had to be voted on by, you had to have the sponsorship of a fellow to give a presentation. And my sponsor was Perty Pelto. He was the chief anthropologist on the interdisciplinary project I was working on in northern Minnesota at the time. He was on the faculty of the University of Minnesota. And he sponsored me to give a paper, and I gave a paper, and it went well, and I guess I was too naive to know I was in the midst of, giants or something like that.
Anthropologists dressing more like standard people. My husband's an anesthesiologist, and when you go to the anesthesiology meetings, everybody's very formally dressed. And anthropologists were noted for not being formally dressed.
Mostly because I think this thing has really become a 3-ring circus, or a 4-ring circus, or a 40-ring circus. And I look at the program now, I don't know if you've studied the program. We think this would be interesting to the following groups. I don't think it's up to anybody to tell me what I'm going to be interested in. If you looked at the program, I thought it was very paternalistic.
Other things, if no one else has said this, I think one of the important things to understand about the organization, the American Anthropological Association, is that it has become, in a sense, very fractionated. And it's ironic that that is in part a kind of artifact of an IRS, Internal Revenue Service, audit of the organization back in the late 70s, early 80s, in the Reagan era. It meant that what had been a consortium of AAA, Society for Applied Anthropology, the Physical Anthropology Group, and 2 or 3 others for membership record-keeping purposes and for publication, was disallowed and threatened the non-profit status of AAA, which led to the formation of all these sections. And some of the older generation of anthropologists regard the section system as kind of an abomination because it speaks of a kind of balkanization of a field which used to be distinguished by its integratedness.
There was a break-off group of anthropologists, mostly gray heads, like me, people my age, and people born between 1935 and 1945 that broke off and formed, some of them wanted to really make a formal break from the AAA and resign from the AAA. I wasn't quite ready to do that, and I was much more moderate, and they formed an organization which is called the Society for Anthropological Sciences. And most of the people that joined that are are older, not in the baby boomer age group, and we meet every year. I'm a founding member of the SAS, Society for Anthropological Sciences, and we meet every year. We have our own conferences, but there's a number of us here. There's some of them are so mad they won't come to the AAA meeting. They resigned their membership. I would probably say the majority of anthropologists, over 51% of the anthropologists my age, have resigned from the AAA because they're so angry at this takeover, quote unquote takeover. I mean, somebody will stand in and say, no, it's not postmodernism at all, so that's just my opinion. But the way I see it, my story is that it was the postmodern anthropologists.
Most recent years, I didn't see, actually until this morning, I didn't see anything that I found enlightening. And this morning I went to the session for Eric Wolf, and what was enlightening to me was the very strong applied stand that people were taking in terms of their reactions to what they saw as they didn't put it in these words, but militarism on the part of this country, and people's unwillingness to step outside and say what they really thought. And so I got a sense that there really were quite a fair number of people who were not exactly in coherence with the rather bellicose stance that this country is taking. And so that made me think that maybe I might want to come next year. Maybe.
I was caught up with the romance of that. Well, it was a lot of fun. If you want to be in a fun discipline today, become an astronomer. Astronomers are finding new tribes out there in the universe almost every day. I mean, at least every month. New galaxies, new discoveries. There was a lot of new things to discover in astronomy. Anthropology seems to be, in my opinion, running out of new things to study.
Or sense in my meeting with students that students are hungry for something that speaks of a golden age. And I put my faith in the current generation of students, what I call the post-boomer generation of students, to return to a more holistic and integrative anthropology that is not afraid of having to learn a little anatomy, having to learn a little archaeological chronology, having to learn the fundamentals of linguistics and the like. As I used to say to my students in the 80s, when there was more and more distancing from physical anthropology, I would say to my students that, I know you're interested in cultural anthropology and ethnology, ethnography, but without linguistics, archaeology, and physical anthropology, you'll just be a half-assed sociologist. That's what I said, that's what I believe.
Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route